Kang Junwoo slammed his office door so hard the Venetian blinds rattled against the glass. Through the window, he had a perfect view of Elena's desk, where those damned flowers sat like a monument to his failure. White lilies. Expensive. The kind of flowers a man sent when he was serious about a woman. Elena Martinez, though her Nigerian parents had christened her Chidinma before she'd adopted a professional alias for international work, touched one delicate petal with her fingertips, a soft smile playing at her lips. That smile drove a spike through Junwoo's chest. In 18 months of working together, he'd catalogued every expression she owned. But this smile? He'd never seen it before. It wasn't for him. Have you ever watched someone you care about smile for someone else? Drop a comment below and tell us how you handled it. And if you're ready for a story about jealousy, pride, and the dangerous game of making someone hurt the way you hurt, hit that like button and subscribe because things are about to get messy. Junwoo loosened his tie, but the silk still felt like a noose. Through the glass, he watched Elena lean back in her chair, still smiling at those flowers like they held the secrets of the universe. Who was he? A boyfriend she'd never mentioned? Someone from her past in Lagos? A new lover she was keeping secret? 18 months. 18 months of her efficiency, her quick mind, her laugh that started low and built until it filled the room. 18 months of pretending he didn't notice how her eyes lit up when she talked about her family in Lagos, how she hummed under her breath when she thought no one was listening, how she always kept a tin of her grandmother's recipe for chin-chin in her desk drawer and offered it to anyone having a bad day. 6 months ago, everything had changed. She'd worked late helping him prepare for the Nakamura merger, and around midnight she'd kicked off her heels with a groan that had nearly killed him. My grandmother always said expensive shoes were a conspiracy by men who never had to wear them. She muttered, rubbing her feet. He'd laughed. Actually laughed. Something he rarely did anymore. That's when he'd realized he was in trouble. But Junwoo was Kang Junwoo. He built empires. He made grown men sweat with a single glance. He didn't pine after his secretary like some lovesick fool. Except apparently he did. For 6 months, he'd been stuck in this hell of wanting her and being too proud to do anything about it. And now someone else had made his move first. Junwoo stood and straightened his suit jacket. He couldn't take it anymore. He needed to know. He walked out of his office with measured steps, stopping at Elena's desk. Ms. Martinez. She looked up, and that smile faltered when she saw his expression. Yes, Mr. Kang? Those flowers. He gestured to the bouquet, trying to keep his voice neutral. Special occasion? Her smile returned, warm and genuine. Yes, actually. Someone very special sent them too. Who sent them? The question came out sharper than he intended. Elena blinked, clearly taken aback by his tone. It's just a friend, Mr. Kang. What friend? He heard the edge in his own voice but couldn't soften it. She hesitated, her smile dimming. Junwoo watched confusion flicker across her face, followed by something else. Caution, maybe? Just someone from back home. It's not important. Not important enough to share? Junwoo knew he was being unreasonable, but the words kept coming. These flowers look expensive, Ms. Martinez. Seems fairly important to me. Elena's hand stilled on her keyboard. She looked up at him with those dark, intelligent eyes, and he could see her trying to understand what was happening. Mr. Kang, is there something wrong with receiving flowers at work? I can move them if they're bothering anyone. I didn't say they were bothering anyone. Then I don't understand. I just want to make sure personal deliveries won't become a distraction. His voice came out cold, formal. This is a professional environment, Ms. Martinez. Of course. She spoke carefully now, like she was navigating a minefield. I apologize if I've done something inappropriate. I didn't say it was inappropriate. Then what are you saying? The question was soft, almost hesitant. Junwoo's jaw tightened. He didn't know what he was saying. He just knew that those flowers made him want to overturn every desk in the office. I'm saying that I expect your full attention during work hours. Not on whoever is sending you gifts. Elena's face went very still. She stared at him for a long moment, and he could see her mind working behind her eyes. Understanding was dawning there, slow and cautious, like she didn't quite trust what she was seeing. I understand, Mr. Kang. Good. My work hasn't been suffering, though. I've completed everything you've asked for. The morning briefing was incomplete. Her brow furrowed. Sir, I sent the full briefing at 6:58 this morning, including all the updated projections from finance. Would you like me to resend it? Junwoo felt heat creeping up his neck. He knew she was right. He'd read the damn briefing himself. Just make sure it doesn't happen again. Make sure what doesn't happen again? Her voice was gentle, confused. I'm not sure what I did wrong. Nothing, Junwoo wanted to say. You did nothing wrong except smile at someone else's flowers. Except maybe have a life outside this office. Except make me feel things I can't control. But he said none of that. Just be more careful in the future. Yes, sir. The formality in her voice stung more than he expected. Junwoo turned and walked back to his office, feeling her gaze on his back the entire way. When he sat down at his desk, he risked a glance through the glass partition. Elena was still sitting exactly as he'd left her, staring at her computer screen with a small frown creasing her forehead. She glanced at the flowers, then at his office, then back at her screen. He could see the exact moment she made a decision. Her shoulders straightened, and she pulled the flowers to the far corner of her desk, partially hidden behind her monitor where he couldn't see them from his office. The gesture should have satisfied him. Instead, it made him feel like the petty tyrant he was acting like. By lunch, Junwoo had convinced himself he was being rational. Professional. He sent back 3 of Elena's reports with corrections that were, if he was being honest, mostly unnecessary. Each time, her response came back quickly. Of course, Mr. Kang. I'll fix that right away. No questions. No pushback. Just bland professional courtesy. It was driving him insane. At 1:30, Sumin from accounting stopped by Elena's desk. Junwoo couldn't hear their conversation through the glass, but he watched Elena shake her head at something Sumin said. Her hands moved in small, frustrated gestures. She glanced toward his office once, quickly, then away. Sumin leaned in closer, speaking rapidly. Elena shook her head again, more firmly this time. Whatever Sumin was suggesting, Elena wasn't having it. When Sumin finally left, she patted Elena's shoulder in a way that looked sympathetic. Junwoo's grip tightened on his pen. Now his staff was gossiping about them. Perfect. At 3 p.m., Junwoo did something he'd never done before. He canceled their standing afternoon coffee meeting. They'd had that ritual for over a year now, 15 minutes where they'd review the day's priorities over coffee in his office. Elena always brought her notepad and her tin of chin-chin, and they talked through problems with an ease that Junwoo had never achieved with anyone else. He sent the email. Too busy today. Cancel afternoon meeting. Elena's response came back within seconds. Understood. Just that. Nothing else. Junwoo stared at the word on his screen. Understood. So formal. So distant. Exactly what he'd asked for, wasn't it? At 4 p.m., Elena's phone rang. Junwoo watched through the glass as she answered, her professional mask slipping for just a moment. Her whole face lit up with genuine joy, the kind of expression he'd been trying and failing to earn for 6 months. She laughed at something the caller said, a real laugh, not the polite chuckle she gave during business meetings. Junwoo's hand clenched around his pen so hard it cracked. Elena glanced toward his office, caught him watching, and immediately turned her chair away, lowering her voice. The conversation lasted maybe 3 minutes, but each second felt like an eternity. When she hung up, she sat very still for a moment, then picked up her phone and typed something quickly. A text. She was texting whoever had called. Junwoo stood abruptly and walked to his door. Ms. Martinez. My office. She appeared 30 seconds later, her notepad clutched in front of her like a shield. Yes, Mr. Kang? Personal phone calls during work hours, Ms. Martinez? Color rose in her cheeks. I apologize. It was brief, and I've finished all my immediate tasks. It won't happen again. See that it doesn't. He paused, hating himself even as the words formed. Was it the same person who sent the flowers? Elena's eyes widened slightly. She opened her mouth, closed it, then said carefully, Mr. Kang, with respect, I don't think that's relevant to my job performance. I'll decide what's relevant. Of course. Her voice went flat again, professional and empty. Is there anything else you need? Yes, Junwoo wanted to shout. I need you to tell me who he is. I need you to stop smiling at your phone like that. I need you to look at me the way you look at those flowers. But he said, the Nakamura contracts. I want them reformatted. Reformatted? Sir, you approved those contracts yesterday. They're already with legal. I've changed my mind about the structure. Pull them back from legal and redo them. Elena's professional mask slipped for just a second, and he saw hurt flash across her face before she controlled it. That's 47 pages, Mr. Kong. It will take several hours. Then I suggest you get started. Of course. She turned to leave. Ms. Martinez. She paused at the door, not quite looking at him. Yes? You'll need to stay late to finish them. I need them by 8 p.m. Now she did look at him, and something in her eyes made his chest ache. I had plans this evening. Cancel them. Mr. Kong. Is there a problem, Ms. Martinez? He kept his voice cold, authoritative. Because if you're unable to meet the demands of this position. No. The word came out quiet but firm. No problem at all. I'll have them ready by 8. After she left, Junwoo sat in his office and watched her work through the glass. She made one phone call, brief and apologetic from her body language. When she hung up, she pressed her fingers against her eyes for a long moment. Then she straightened her shoulders, opened her laptop, and got to work. Hours passed. The office slowly emptied as staff went home for the evening. By 6:30, only a handful of people remained. By 7, it was just Junwoo and Elena. She'd taken off her blazer and rolled up her sleeves. Her natural hair had started to escape its professional bun, soft curls framing her face. She worked with focused intensity, her fingers flying over the keyboard, occasionally pausing to reference the original document. Junwoo should have been working on his own projects. Instead, he found himself watching her, memorizing the way she bit her lower lip when concentrating, the way she stretched her neck when it got stiff, the way she kept glancing at her phone with an expression that looked like regret. At 7:30, she got up and walked to the break room. Junwoo watched her make coffee, her movements tired and mechanical. When she came back, she had 2 cups. She hesitated at her desk, staring at his office door for a long moment. Then she walked over and knocked. Come in. Elena entered and set 1 cup on his desk. 3 sugars, extra cream. The way you like it. Junwoo stared at the coffee, then at her. After everything he'd done today, every petty cruelty, she'd still brought him coffee. You didn't have to do that. I know. She turned to leave. Ms. Martinez. She paused but didn't turn around. Yes? Who are you supposed to meet tonight? The question escaped before he could stop it. Elena was quiet for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was carefully neutral. A friend who's visiting Seoul. I haven't seen him in 2 years. Him. The word hit Junwoo like a punch. I see. Is there anything else, Mr. Kong? No. That's all. She left, closing the door softly behind her. Junwoo sat alone in his office, staring at the coffee she'd made him exactly the way he liked it, and felt like the worst kind of fool. At 7:55, Elena knocked again. The contracts are finished. Already? You said 8 p.m.? She handed him the folder, and he noticed her hand trembled slightly. From exhaustion or emotion, he couldn't tell. I've emailed them to you as well, and sent copies to legal with a note explaining the revision. Junwoo took the folder. Their fingers brushed, and he felt her pull away quickly, like his touch burned. Thank you? Is there anything else you need tonight? Say no, the rational part of his brain urged. Let her go home. You've punished her enough for the crime of receiving flowers from someone else. But the irrational, jealous part of him that had been in control all day said. Actually, yes. The presentation for Monday's board meeting needs updating. Elena's face went very still. The presentation we finished last week? I want to add more financial projections. Market analysis. Competitive positioning. Mr. Kong, that presentation is already 70 slides. Adding more might make it too dense for. Are you questioning my judgment, Ms. Martinez? No, sir. The sir again, like a wall between them. I'll start on it right away. Good. I'll need it by tomorrow afternoon. You can work from home tomorrow morning if you need to. Tomorrow is Saturday. I'm aware. Elena looked at him for a long moment, and Junwoo had the uncomfortable feeling she was seeing right through him. Seeing the jealous, petty man beneath the CEO exterior. Of course, Mr. Kong. I'll have it ready. Excellent. He opened the contract folder, effectively dismissing her. You can go now. She didn't move immediately. Mr. Kong, may I ask you something? Junwoo's heart rate picked up. What? Have I done something to upset you? Beyond the flowers, I mean. Because if I have, I'd like to know so I can correct it. The genuine confusion in her voice almost broke him. She really didn't understand. She thought this was about her job performance, not about the fact that seeing her smile at someone else's flowers had nearly driven him mad. Your work is fine, Ms. Martinez. Then I don't understand why. You don't need to understand. You just need to do your job. The words came out harsher than he intended. Was there anything else? No. Her voice was small now, hurt. Nothing else. Good night, Mr. Kong. Good night. After she left, Junwoo sat in the silence of his empty office and stared at the coffee she'd brought him, now cold and untouched. Through the building's windows, he could see Seoul's lights glittering in the darkness, millions of people living their lives, falling in love, being happy. And here he was, alone in his office, pushing away the one person who made him feel something other than empty. His phone buzzed. A message from his younger sister, Kang Min-seo. Appa, Yama wants to know if you're bringing someone to Jinho's wedding next month. She's getting insufferable about grandchildren again. Junwoo deleted the message without responding. The last thing he needed was his family's interference in his non-existent love life. He pulled up Elena's file on his computer, something he'd done more times than he cared to admit over the past 6 months. Her employee photo stared back at him. She was smiling in it, professional but warm, her dark eyes bright with intelligence. He'd been in the room when HR took that photo, had watched the photographer try 3 times to get her to relax before finally making a joke about Korean efficiency that had her laughing. Junwoo had memorized that laugh. He scrolled through her performance reviews. Exemplary. Outstanding. Exceeds expectations in every category. 3 different department heads had tried to poach her over the 18 months she'd worked for him. He'd blocked every attempt, telling himself it was because she was too valuable to lose. But that wasn't the real reason, and he knew it. His computer pinged with an email. From Elena, sent at 11:47 p.m. The subject line read, Board Presentation Draft. Junwoo opened it, frowning. It had only been a few hours since he'd given her the assignment. The presentation was comprehensive, well-organized, with exactly the kind of market analysis he'd requested. It was perfect. Of course it was perfect. Elena's work was always perfect. He scrolled to the end and found a note. Mr. Kong, I've added the requested sections, but I wanted to note that the presentation is now quite lengthy. If you'd like me to condense any sections, please let me know. I'll be available tomorrow to make revisions. Even after everything, she was still professional. Still thoughtful. Still trying to do her job well despite him making it as difficult as possible. Junwoo closed his laptop and rubbed his eyes. What was he doing? This wasn't him. He didn't play petty games. He didn't punish people for having personal lives. He was Kang Junwoo, a man who built an empire through calculated decisions and iron control. Except when it came to Elena, apparently. When it came to her, he was as out of control as a teenager with his first crush. His phone buzzed again. This time it was his security chief. Asterisk information on the flower delivery you requested. Dead end. Florist citing privacy policy. Can push harder if you want, but might raise questions. Asterisk. Junwoo stared at the message. He could push harder. He had the resources, the connections. He could find out everything about whoever sent those flowers within hours. But what then? What would that solve? He typed back, leave it. Not important. The weekend passed in a blur of work and carefully avoiding thinking about Elena. On Saturday, she'd sent him 3 versions of the presentation, each one more polished than the last. On Sunday, she'd emailed to ask if he needed anything else prepared for Monday's board meeting. He'd replied with a single word. No. Monday morning arrived with a kind of gray drizzle that matched Junwoo's mood. He arrived at the office at 6 a.m., hoping to have a few hours of peace before the staff arrived. But when he stepped off the elevator, he saw lights on in the main office area. Elena was already at her desk. She looked up when she heard his footsteps, and for a fraction of a second, her face showed something raw and unguarded. Then the professional mask slammed back into place. Good morning, Mr. Kong. Your coffee is ready in your office, and I've printed 3 copies of the presentation for the board meeting. The original plus 2 backups in case of technical issues. You didn't need to come in so early. I wanted to make sure everything was perfect. She stood, smoothing her skirt. Is there anything else you need before the meeting? Junwoo looked at her carefully. She was impeccably dressed as always, but there were shadows under her eyes that suggested she hadn't slept well. Ms. Martinez, about last week. The Nakamura team called on Friday afternoon. She interrupted smoothly, as if he hadn't been about to say something personal. They want to move up the implementation timeline. I've drafted a response, but you should review it before I send it. Elena. Also, your mother called 3 times. She wants you to call her back about your cousin's wedding. I told her you were in meetings, but she seemed insistent. I'm trying to apologize. The words hung in the air between them. Elena's eyes widened slightly, and for a moment she looked utterly lost. Apologize for what, Mr. Kong? For being a jealous fool. For punishing you for having a life outside this office. For being too proud to admit that I've been in love with you for 6 months and seeing those flowers nearly destroyed me. But he couldn't say any of that. Not here. Not when the office would start filling with staff in the next hour. Not when he still didn't know who sent those flowers or what they meant to her. For the extra work last week, he said finally. It was unnecessary. It's my job. Still, I could have been more reasonable about the timeline. Elena studied his face with those dark, intelligent eyes. Is that all, Mr. Kong? No. That's not even close to all. Yes. That's all. Then I should get back to work. The board meeting is at 9. She turned back to her desk, effectively dismissing him. Junwoo walked into his office and closed the door. Through the glass, he watched Elena settle back into her work, her fingers moving across the keyboard with practiced efficiency. The flowers were gone from her desk. He didn't know if she'd taken them home or thrown them away, and he was afraid to ask. The board meeting was a disaster, though not because of Elena's presentation. That was flawless, as expected. No, the disaster was that Junwoo couldn't concentrate on anything his board members were saying because Elena was sitting in the corner taking notes, and every time he looked at her, he lost his train of thought. Junwoo SSI. One of the board members, Park Sang-woo, said pointedly. Did you hear my question? Junwoo refocused with effort. I apologize. Could you repeat it? The meeting dragged on for 2 hours. When it finally ended, the board members filed out, several of them giving Junwoo odd looks. Park Sang-woo lingered at the door. Are you alright? You seemed distracted today. I'm fine. If you're having problems with the Nakamura deal. The Nakamura deal is fine. Everything is fine. Park Sang-woo didn't look convinced, but he left without pushing further. Junwoo turned to find Elena still in the corner, gathering her notes. Ms. Martinez. Yes? That presentation was excellent. Good work. Thank you. Her voice was polite, distant. She headed for the door. Also, clear your schedule for Thursday evening. We have dinner with the Nakamura executives. Elena paused, her hand on the doorframe. We? You'll need to be there to take notes. 7 p.m. at Mingles. Of course. I'll add it to the calendar. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. Our stories travel the world. Are you team? Just apologize already. Or team? Elena should quit. Let us know. And please like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens when Junwoo's jealousy plan goes into full effect. After she left, Junwoo pulled out his phone and made a call he'd been putting off. His half-sister answered on the 3rd ring. Appa? This is a surprise. You never call during work hours. So-young, I need a favor. Han So-young, his father's daughter from his first marriage and one of Seoul's top corporate lawyers, laughed. This should be interesting. What kind of favor? The kind where you don't ask questions. Now I'm definitely asking questions. Junwoo took a deep breath. I need you to pretend to be my business consultant for a few days. Silence. Then, what? Come to my office. Act like we're working on something important. Be friendly. Friendly. With you. My ice prince half-brother who hasn't voluntarily spent time with family in 3 years. So young. This is about a woman, isn't it? Her voice filled with glee. Oh my God, this is about a woman. The great Kang Junwoo has finally fallen. Will you help me or not? Help you do what exactly? Because if you're asking me to make some poor woman jealous, I'm going to need the whole story. Junwoo closed his eyes. This was a terrible idea. He should just talk to Elena like an adult. Explain his feelings. Take his chances. But the thought of seeing that same smile she'd given those flowers, that same joy, directed at someone else, was unbearable. She received flowers from someone. I need to know if she cares. So you're going to make her jealous back? Appa, that's the most emotionally immature thing I've ever heard, and I'm including that time Jin-ho tried to win back his girlfriend by dating her roommate. Are you going to help or not? So-young sighed. Fine. But only because I'm dying to meet the woman who finally cracked your Ice King exterior. When do you need me? Tomorrow. The next morning, Elena arrived at the office to find an unfamiliar woman sitting in the reception area. She was stunning, dressed in a tailored Chanel suit that probably cost more than Elena's monthly rent, her long black hair falling in perfect waves past her shoulders. She was scrolling through her phone with the kind of casual elegance that spoke of old money and elite schools. Elena smiled politely as she passed. "Good morning." The woman looked up and returned the smile, her eyes sharp and assessing. "Good morning. You must be Elena Martinez." "I'm Han So-young." Elena paused, her hand halfway to her office keycard. "I'm sorry, do we have a meeting scheduled? I don't see anything on Mr. Kang's calendar." "Oh, it's not on the calendar. Junwoo and I have a more casual arrangement." So-young stood, extending her hand. "I'm a corporate lawyer. I'll be consulting on some sensitive matters for the next few weeks." Something about the way she said Junwoo's name, familiar and intimate, made Elena's stomach clench. "I see. Welcome to the office, Ms. Han. Please call me So-young. We'll be seeing a lot of each other." She tilted her head, still studying Elena with those intelligent eyes. "Junwoo speaks very highly of your work. That's kind of him to say. Is it?" So-young's smile widened slightly. "My brother isn't really the kind type." "Brother." The word took a moment to register. Elena felt something loosen in her chest that she hadn't realized was tight. "You're Mr. Kang's sister?" "Half-sister, technically. Different mothers. But yes." So-young's eyes gleamed with something that might have been amusement. "Did he not mention I was coming?" "No, he didn't." "How typical. Junwoo never was good at communication." So-young glanced toward Junwoo's office, where the lights were already on. "Is he in a good mood this morning?" Elena thought about the past week, the coldness, the unreasonable demands, the way he looked at her flowers like they were a personal insult. "I wouldn't know, Ms. Han." "So-young," she corrected gently. "And that bad, Before Elena could respond, Junwoo's office door opened. He stepped out, and his eyes immediately found Elena. For a moment, something flashed across his face, something that looked almost like guilt. Then he saw So-young and his expression shifted to careful neutrality. "You're early." So-young walked over and kissed his cheek, a gesture that seemed designed for an audience. "You know me, Appa. Always punctual. Should we get started? I've reviewed the contracts you sent, and we have a lot to discuss." "My office." Junwoo's gaze flickered to Elena. "Ms. Martinez, hold my calls for the next hour." "Of course, Mr. Kang." Elena watched them disappear into his office, watched So-young laugh at something Junwoo said, watched through the glass as they settled into the chairs by his desk, their heads close together, as they reviewed documents. She turned back to her computer and tried to focus on her work. By noon, Elena had seen Junwoo and So-young together 3 times. Once when they'd gone to the conference room for what Junwoo had called a private discussion. Once when they'd returned, So-young's hand resting casually on Junwoo's arm as she said something that made him almost smile. And once when they'd left for lunch together, Junwoo actually holding the elevator door for his half-sister. Elena had worked for Junwoo for 18 months. He'd never held the elevator door for her. Sumin appeared at Elena's desk the moment Junwoo and So-young left. "Okay, what is happening? Who is that woman?" "His half-sister. She's a consultant." "A consultant who touches his arm like that? Who makes him smile?" Sumin's eyes were wide with disbelief. "In 18 months, I've seen that man smile maybe 3 times. She's been here 3 hours and he's already smiled twice. Maybe he's just in a good mood. After last week? When he was acting like a storm cloud with a vendetta against your flowers?" Sumin leaned in closer. "Elena, are you okay?" "I'm fine." "You don't look fine. You look like you're about to cry." "I'm not going to cry over my boss having lunch with his sister, Sumin. That would be insane." "Half-sister," Sumin corrected. "And you're right, it would be insane. Unless you have feelings for him." Elena's hand stilled on her keyboard. "Don't be ridiculous. I've seen the way you look at him when you think no one's watching. And I've definitely seen the way he looks at you. He looks at me like I'm his secretary. Because I am his secretary. He looks at you like you're the only person in the room." Sumin squeezed her shoulder. "But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's just a moody boss who had a bad week." After Sumin left, Elena stared at her computer screen without seeing it. Did she have feelings for Junwoo? The question sat in her chest like a stone. She thought about the past 18 months. The late nights working together. The way he remembered how she took her coffee. The way his rare smiles made her entire day brighter. The way her heart jumped every time he said her name. Oh God. She had feelings for him. And last week, when he'd been cold and cruel about James's flowers, when she'd seen that flash of something raw in his eyes, she'd thought maybe, just maybe, he felt something too. But now he was having lunch with a beautiful corporate lawyer who made him smile, and Elena was sitting at her desk realizing she'd fallen for a man who saw her as nothing more than his secretary. Her phone buzzed. A text from James, still mad at me for getting you in trouble with your boss. The flowers were supposed to make you happy, not cause drama. Elena stared at the message. She'd been so focused on Junwoo's reaction that she'd barely thought about James. Her best friend was getting married this weekend, and she'd been too distracted by her complicated feelings for her boss to properly celebrate with him. She typed back, not mad. Just having a weird week. Coffee tomorrow? Want to hear all about wedding plans. Can't tomorrow. Final dress fitting with Michael. Thursday? Thursday I have a work dinner. Friday? Friday's the rehearsal dinner. You're still coming, right? Elena had completely forgotten. Of course. Wouldn't miss it. Good. Because you're giving a speech, remember? Best woman duties. A speech. Right. Elena put her phone down and pressed her fingers against her temples. She needed to write a speech about love and commitment and happily ever after, all while nursing a stupid crush on her emotionally unavailable boss. Perfect. Junwoo and So-young returned from lunch at 2 p.m., both carrying coffee cups from the expensive cafe 3 blocks away. The one Junwoo used to take Elena to during their afternoon meetings, back before last week when everything had changed. So-young stopped at Elena's desk while Junwoo continued to his office. Elena, do you have a moment? Of course, Ms. Han. So-young. She corrected again, her smile warm. I wanted to thank you for being so accommodating. I know having an outsider disrupt the office routine can be challenging. It's no trouble at all. Junwoo mentioned you've been with him for 18 months. That's impressive. Most people don't last 6 months working for my brother. Elena managed a professional smile. Mr. Kong has high standards, but he's a fair employer. Fair. So-young repeated the word thoughtfully. That's a diplomatic way to put it. She leaned against Elena's desk, her posture casual. Can I ask you something? Off the record? I suppose. Has my brother been acting strange lately? Different than usual? Elena's heart rate picked up. I'm not sure what you mean. Just odd behavior. Moody. Unreasonable demands. That sort of thing. So Junwoo had told his sister about last week. The realization made Elena's chest tight with humiliation. Mr. Kong is entitled to run his business however he sees fit. That's not what I asked? So-young's gaze was knowing, almost sympathetic. But I understand. Professional boundaries and all that. She straightened. Well, I should get back. We have a lot to cover this afternoon. Of course. Elena watched So-young return to Junwoo's office. Through the glass, she saw Junwoo hand his sister a document, their hands brushing. Saw So-young laugh at something he said. Saw them settle in for what was clearly going to be a long afternoon of close collaboration. Elena turned back to her computer and pulled up a blank document. She had a speech to write about love conquering all and soulmates finding each other. She started typing, then stopped. Started again. Stopped. Every word felt like a lie. By 5 p.m., most of the staff had left for the day. Elena was still at her desk, ostensibly working on the Nakamura file but actually staring blankly at her screen while Junwoo and So-young continued their meeting. They'd been in there for 3 hours now, occasionally laughing, occasionally engaged in what looked like intense discussion. At 5:30 they emerged. So-young was putting on her coat, still smiling. Same time tomorrow, Appa? 9 a.m. Don't be late. Me? Late? Never. So-young turned to Elena. Lovely meeting you, Elena. I'm sure we'll see much more of each other. After she left, Junwoo lingered by Elena's desk. Ms. Martinez. Elena looked up, keeping her expression neutral. Yes, Mr. Kong? The dinner on Thursday with the Nakamura executives. Wear something formal. These dinners tend to run late. I understand. He hesitated, like he wanted to say something else. Elena waited, her heart doing stupid, hopeful things in her chest. But then he just nodded and said, Good night, Ms. Martinez. Good night, Mr. Kong. Elena watched him leave, then finally let herself slump in her chair. Her phone buzzed with another text from James. By the way, Michael wants to know if you're bringing a +1 to the wedding. We need final numbers. Elena looked at Junwoo's empty office, at the space where So-young had sat all day, at her own reflection in her dark computer screen. She typed back, no +1. Just me. Wednesday morning brought rain and Han So-young's return. Elena watched from her desk as Junwoo greeted his half-sister with what almost looked like warmth, taking her coat and hanging it in his office like they were in some kind of romantic drama. She hated how much it bothered her. Throughout the day, Elena tried to focus on her work while snippets of conversation drifted from Junwoo's office. So-young's laugh rang out frequently, light and musical. At one point, Elena heard Junwoo actually chuckle at something, a sound so rare it made several nearby staff members look up in surprise. Around 11 a.m., Junwoo emerged from his office with So-young at his side. Ms. Martinez, So-young and I will be working from the executive lounge for the rest of the morning. Forward any urgent calls to my cell. Of course, Mr. Kang. So-young paused, tilting her head as she studied Elena. You know, Elena, you should join us for lunch today. Junwoo's been monopolizing all my time, and I'd love to get to know the woman who keeps this office running so smoothly. Elena's eyes darted to Junwoo, whose expression had gone carefully blank. That's very kind, Ms. Han, but I have a lot of work to catch up on. Nonsense. You have to eat. So-young looked at Junwoo expectantly. Tell her she should come, Appa. Junwoo's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Ms. Martinez is welcome to join us if she wishes. The invitation sounded about as genuine as a forced apology. Thank you, but I really do need to finish the quarterly reports. Well, if you change your mind, we'll be at that Italian place on 5th Street. The one with the amazing carbonara. So-young smiled warmly, then linked her arm through Junwoo's. Shall we? Elena watched them walk to the elevator together, So-young still holding Junwoo's arm, saying something that made him lean down to hear better. The elevator doors closed, and Elena released a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. Sumin appeared instantly. Okay, that's it. I'm staging an intervention. You look miserable. I'm fine. You're not fine. You've been staring at your computer without typing for 10 minutes. And you just turned down lunch with your boss, which you never do. He didn't want me there. His sister was just being polite. Half-sister, Sumin corrected automatically. And how do you know he didn't want you there? Did you see his face? He looked like she'd suggested inviting a tax auditor. Sumin perched on the edge of Elena's desk. Can I tell you what I think is happening? I'm not sure I want to know. I think he's trying to make you jealous. Elena let out a laugh that sounded brittle even to her own ears. That's ridiculous. Why would he do that? Because he's been in love with you for months, and last week he saw those flowers and lost his mind. He's not in love with me, Sumin. He's my boss. He sees me as his secretary, and nothing more. Then why is he suddenly parading his beautiful half-sister around the office, making sure you see every smile, every laugh, every casual touch? Elena wanted to argue, but the words stuck in her throat. Because hadn't she wondered the same thing? Hadn't she seen something flash in Junwoo's eyes when So-young had invited her to lunch, something that looked almost like panic? Even if you're right, Elena said slowly. What kind of person plays games like that? What kind of relationship starts with deliberate manipulation? The messy kind. The human kind. Sumin squeezed her hand. Look, I'm not saying it's healthy or mature. But people do stupid things when they're scared of getting hurt. After Sumin left, Elena sat alone with her thoughts. Her phone buzzed with a message from her mother in Lagos. Chidinma, your sister says you're working too hard again. Remember what your grandmother always said, work is important but life is more important. When are you coming home to visit? Elena stared at the message. When was the last time she'd taken a real vacation? When was the last time she'd thought about anything other than work and Junwoo? She'd built her entire life around this job, around being indispensable to a man who couldn't even be bothered to tell her his sister was coming to the office. She typed back, soon, Mama. I promise. It was almost 1 p.m. when Junwoo and So-young returned from lunch. They were still talking, heads close together, when they stepped off the elevator. Junwoo's hand rested on the small of So-young's back as he guided her toward his office, a gesture Elena had seen him make with her countless times. Something inside Elena cracked. She stood abruptly and walked to the bathroom, locking herself in the stall. She wasn't going to cry. She refused to cry over a man who saw her as nothing more than an efficient assistant. A man who was currently parading another woman around the office to prove some point Elena didn't even understand. When she returned to her desk 15 minutes later, eyes dried but slightly red, she found a sticky note on her monitor in Junwoo's handwriting. See me when you return. Elena took a steadying breath and knocked on his office door. Come in. She entered to find Junwoo alone, So-young nowhere in sight. He was standing by the window, his back to her, hands in his pockets. Ms. Martinez. About tomorrow's dinner with the Nakamura executives. Yes? There's been a change of plans. So-young will be joining us. Her expertise in corporate law will be valuable for the contract discussions. Of course she would be. I understand. I'll need you to make a reservation for 4 instead of 3. 7 p.m. at Mingle still. 4? I thought it was just you, me, and Mr. Nakamura. Junwoo finally turned to face her. Mr. Nakamura is bringing his wife. It will be more balanced with 4. Balanced? As if Elena was there to balance out So-young, not because she was Junwoo's secretary who'd been handling the Nakamura account for 6 months. Will you still need me to take notes? Something flickered across his face. So-young can handle the notes. The words hit Elena like a slap. 6 months of work on this account, and now she was being replaced by someone who'd been in the office for 2 days. I see. Then may I ask why I'm attending at all? Because I need you there. For what purpose, Mr. Kang? If Ms. Han is taking notes and providing legal expertise, what exactly is my role? Junwoo's jaw tightened. Your role is whatever I decide it is, Ms. Martinez. Of course. Elena kept her voice level, professional, even though inside she was screaming. Will that be all? No. He moved closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne, the expensive scent that she'd come to associate with late nights and close quarters. Are you angry with me? The question was so unexpected that Elena almost laughed. Why would I be angry, Mr. Kang? You tell me. I'm your secretary. My feelings are irrelevant. That's not true. Isn't it? Elena met his gaze directly, something she rarely did. You've made it very clear over the past week that my job is to work, not to feel. Not to have personal phone calls or receive flowers or have dinner plans with friends. Just work. So that's what I'm doing. Working. Junwoo's eyes darkened. That's not fair. Fair? The word came out sharper than Elena intended. You want to talk about fair? You've spent the last week punishing me for receiving flowers from a friend. You've given me impossible deadlines and unnecessary revisions and cancelled our meetings. And now you're bringing in your sister to do my job while I sit there and watch. So please, Mr. Khan, tell me what's fair about any of this. The silence that followed was deafening. Junwoo stared at her, his expression unreadable. Elena's heart pounded. She just crossed every professional line, had said things no secretary should ever say to her boss. You're right, Junwoo said finally, his voice low. None of it is fair. Elena blinked, certain she'd misheard. What? You're right. I've been unreasonable. Cruel, even. He ran a hand through his hair, destroying its perfect arrangement. But I can't seem to stop myself. Why? The question came out as barely a whisper. Junwoo looked at her for a long moment, and Elena saw something in his eyes that made her breath catch. Pain. Longing. Fear. Because watching you smile at those flowers nearly killed me. Before Elena could process that admission, the office door opened. So-young walked in carrying 2 coffee cups, stopping short when she saw the tension between them. Am I interrupting something? No, Junwoo said quickly, stepping back from Elena. We were just finishing up. So-young's gaze moved between them, sharp and assessing. If you're sure. I'm sure. Junwoo turned to Elena, his expression closing off again. That's all, Ms. Martinez. You can go. Elena fled the office on shaking legs. Back at her desk, she tried to process what had just happened. Had Junwoo just admitted to being jealous? Had he really said watching her smile at James's flowers had nearly killed him? Her phone buzzed. Another message from James. Hey, Michael's mom is driving us crazy about the seating chart. Can you believe she wants to put her ex-husband at the same table as her new boyfriend? This wedding is turning into a soap opera. Elena stared at the message, then at Junwoo's office where he and So-young were now sitting close together, reviewing documents. She thought about Soo-min's words. People do stupid things when they're scared of getting hurt. Was that what this was? Was Junwoo scared? And more importantly, did it matter? Because even if he had feelings for her, even if this elaborate show with So-young was some misguided attempt to make her jealous, what kind of foundation was that for anything real? Elena pulled up her email and began drafting a message she'd been thinking about for days. Dear Mr. Kong, I am writing to formally submit my resignation, effective 2 weeks from today. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, she could be free of this emotional roller coaster. She could find a job where she didn't spend every day wondering if her boss's rare smiles meant something or if she was just fooling herself. But 2 weeks also meant leaving. Leaving Junwoo. Leaving the job she loved. Leaving the possibility of whatever this thing between them might become. Elena deleted the draft and closed her email. She wasn't a quitter. She'd come to Seoul 3 years ago with nothing but a suitcase and a dream. She'd built a career, made a life. She wasn't going to run just because things got complicated. Thursday evening arrived too quickly. Elena stood in front of her closet, staring at her limited selection of formal wear. She'd finally settled on a deep purple dress, the one her mother had sent from Lagos for her birthday last year. The color looked beautiful against her dark skin, and the cut was professional yet elegant. She told herself she wasn't trying to impress anyone. She was simply dressing appropriately for a business dinner. The lie tasted bitter. Junwoo had sent a car for her, which was unusual. Normally they just met at the restaurant. But tonight, the sleek black sedan pulled up to her apartment building at 6:30. Giving her just enough time to worry about whether this meant something or nothing at all. When she arrived at Mingle's, Junwoo and So-young were already there, standing near the entrance. Junwoo wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than Elena's monthly salary, and So-young was stunning in a red dress that hugged every curve. They looked perfect together. Polished. Powerful. Like they belonged in the same world in a way Elena never would. Junwoo's eyes found Elena the moment she stepped out of the car, and something in his expression shifted. His gaze traveled from her face down to her dress and back up again, lingering in a way that made her skin warm. Ms. Martinez. Mr. Kong. Ms. Han. You look beautiful, So-young said warmly, and it sounded genuine. That color is stunning on you. Thank you. The Nakamuras are running a few minutes late, Junwoo said, his voice carefully neutral. Shall we get a drink at the bar while we wait? The bar was intimate, all low lighting and soft jazz. Junwoo ordered whiskey, So-young asked for wine, and Elena requested water, needing to keep her head clear. They stood in awkward silence until So-young excused herself to take a phone call. The moment she was gone, Junwoo moved closer to Elena. You do look beautiful. I should have said that first. Elena's heart did that stupid fluttering thing. Thank you. That dress. It's purple. Yes. Your favorite color. So he had been paying attention. Elena took a sip of water to hide her confusion. You remembered. I remember everything about you. The words were low, meant only for her ears. The way you hum when you're concentrating. How you always keep chin-chin in your desk drawer. That you send money home to Lagos every month for your sister's education. That you take your coffee with 3 sugars because your grandmother said life was bitter enough. I remember all of it, Elena. Her name. He'd used her first name. Elena's breath caught. Mr. Kong. Junwoo. When it's just us, call me Junwoo. We're not supposed to be just us. We're boss and secretary. Is that all we are? His eyes searched hers, intense and vulnerable in a way she'd never seen. Because it doesn't feel like that's all we are. Elena opened her mouth to respond, but So-young returned, and Junwoo immediately stepped back, his expression shuddering. The Nakamuras just texted. They're here. Dinner was torture. Elena sat across from Junwoo and So-young, watching them work together with seamless efficiency. So-young asked intelligent questions about the contract terms. Junwoo answered with the kind of engaged enthusiasm Elena rarely saw. Mr. Nakamura and his wife seemed charmed by both of them. And Elena? Elena sat there taking mental notes that no one had asked for, feeling increasingly like a fifth wheel. Halfway through the main course, Mrs. Nakamura turned to Elena with a kind smile. And how long have you and Mr. Kong been working together, Ms. Martinez? 18 months. She's the best secretary I've ever had, Junwoo said, and there was something in his voice that made Elena look up. Indispensable, really. High praise from Junwoo. Mr. Nakamura laughed. He's not known for compliments. It's simply the truth. Junwoo's gaze held Elena's across the table. I don't know what I'd do without her. So-young's eyes moved between them, sharp and knowing. She cleared her throat delicately. Speaking of indispensable, we should discuss the intellectual property clauses. I had some concerns about Section 7. The conversation shifted back to business, and Elena felt the moment slip away. By the time dessert arrived, she had a pounding headache and a desperate need to escape. When Mr. Nakamura suggested moving to the lounge for after-dinner drinks, Elena saw her chance. "If you'll excuse me, I have an early morning tomorrow." "Mr. Kong, Ms. Han, thank you for including me this evening." Junwoo stood immediately. "I'll walk you out." "That's not necessary. I insist." His tone left no room for argument. They walked through the restaurant in silence, the air between them thick with unspoken words. Outside, Seoul's streets were alive with Thursday night energy, people laughing and talking as they moved between bars and restaurants. Junwoo's hand found the small of Elena's back as he guided her away from the crowd, and even through the fabric of her dress, his touch burned. "Elena, about what I said earlier." "Don't." She turned to face him. "Please don't say things like that and then act like nothing happened. Don't tell me you remember everything about me and then parade your sister around the office like you're trying to prove some point. I can't take the mixed signals anymore, Junwoo." She'd used his first name without thinking, and she saw his eyes darken at the sound of it. "I'm not trying to give mixed signals." "Then what are you trying to do?" "Because from where I'm standing, I have no idea what you want from me." "I want—" He stopped, frustration clear on his face. "It's complicated." "It doesn't have to be." "Yes, it does. You're my secretary. There are rules, boundaries. If I cross them and you don't feel the same way, I lose you completely. At least this way, I get to see you every day." Elena's breath caught. "And if I do feel the same way?" The question hung between them, heavy with possibility. Junwoo stared at her, and for a moment, Elena thought he might actually answer honestly. Might actually take the risk. Then his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and Elena saw his expression change. "The Nakamuras are leaving. I should get back." "Of course." Elena's voice came out flat, empty. "Good night, Mr. Kong." She turned and walked away before he could see the tears burning in her eyes. Behind her, she heard him call her name, but she didn't stop. She couldn't. If she stopped, if she turned around and saw whatever expression was on his face, she'd break completely. "Are you frustrated with Junwoo right now? Trust me, you're not alone. Drop a comment, and tell us if Elena should wait for him to get his act together or move on. And here's the real question, what would you do in her situation? Like this video if you're invested in this story, and subscribe because next time, someone's about to lose control completely, and the fallout is going to change everything. Friday morning, Elena called in sick for the first time in 18 months. She couldn't face Junwoo. Couldn't sit at her desk and watch him with So Young and pretend her heart wasn't breaking. Instead, she spent the day helping James and Michael with last-minute wedding preparations. She picked up flowers, checked on the venue, and listened to Michael's mother complain about the seating arrangements. It was exhausting and chaotic and exactly what she needed. "You're awfully quiet," James said as they drove back from the venue. "Want to talk about it?" "Not really." "Does this have anything to do with your boss? The one who got weird about my flowers?" Elena let out a long breath. "I think I'm in love with him." James nearly swerved off the road. "What?" "I know. It's stupid. He's my boss. He's emotionally unavailable. He plays mind games. I should run far away." Elena pressed her hands against her face. "But James, when he looks at me sometimes, I think maybe he feels it too. And then he pulls away and I'm left wondering if I imagine the whole thing. Does he know how you feel? I basically told him last night. And he said it was complicated. Complicated is code for I'm scared. Or it's code for I'm not interested but I'm too polite to say so directly." James reached over and squeezed her hand. "Listen to me. You are brilliant and beautiful and you deserve someone who isn't afraid to claim you. Someone who doesn't play games or give mixed signals. If this guy can't see that, then complicated or not, he doesn't deserve you." Elena knew James was right. But knowing something and feeling it were two different things. That evening, Elena's phone buzzed with a message from Junwoo. "Are you alright? You weren't in the office today." She stared at the message for a long moment before responding, "I'm fine. Just not feeling well. I'll be back Monday." His response came immediately. "Is this about last night?" Elena didn't answer. What could she say? "Yes, it's about last night. It's about every night. It's about falling for someone who can't decide if he wants me or not." Another message, "Elena, please. Can we talk?" She turned off her phone. Saturday was James and Michael's wedding, and Elena threw herself into her best woman duties with desperate energy. She gave her speech about love conquering all and soulmates finding each other, and managed to keep her voice steady even though every word felt like a lie. Or maybe not a lie. Maybe just a truth that applied to other people but not to her. The reception was beautiful. Elena danced with James's father, with Michael's brother, with a cousin who flirted shamelessly despite being told she wasn't interested. She drank champagne and laughed at toasts, and tried very hard not to think about Junwoo. At midnight she stepped outside for air and found So-young standing in the garden. Elena froze. "Ms. Han, what are you doing here?" So-young turned, and in the moonlight, her expression was sad. "Junwoo asked me to check on you. He was worried when you didn't answer his calls." "He sent you?" "He wanted to come himself, but I told him that would be a terrible idea." So-young moved closer. "Can I be honest with you, Elena? I'm not sure I want to hear this." "Too bad. You're going to hear it anyway." So-young's voice was gentle but firm. "My brother is an idiot. A proud, emotionally stunted idiot who's been in love with you for months but is too scared to do anything about it." Elena's heart stopped. "What? This whole thing with me being at the office? It was his idea. A spectacularly stupid plan to make you jealous because he saw you receive flowers and lost his mind." So-young shook her head. "I told him it was immature and manipulative, but he was desperate. He wanted you to feel what he felt when he saw those flowers. He wanted you to understand his pain. That's—" Elena didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "That's insane." "I know. Trust me, I know. I've spent the last 3 days watching him torture himself while torturing you." So-young stepped closer. "Elena, I've never seen my brother like this. Junwoo doesn't lose control. He doesn't feel things deeply. He's spent his whole life building walls to protect himself. But you demolished every single one of those walls without even trying. Then why can't he just tell me?" Elena's voice cracked. "Why does it have to be games and mixed signals and tests?" "Because he's terrified. His father cheated on his mother with mine. He watched his family implode over love and betrayal. He built his entire life around control and emotional distance because he never wanted to be that vulnerable." So-young's eyes were compassionate. "I'm not excusing his behavior. What he's doing is wrong and hurtful. But I wanted you to understand why." Elena wrapped her arms around herself. "Understanding doesn't change anything. I can't be with someone who plays games with my heart because he's scared. You're right. You shouldn't have to." So-young pulled out her phone and showed Elena a string of messages. They were all from Junwoo, sent over the past 24 hours. "Is she okay? Did she respond? Should I go to her apartment? What if something's wrong? He's been like this since yesterday morning. Calling me every 2 hours. He even tried to get your address from HR before I talked him down." Despite everything, Elena felt her resolve wavering. "What do you want me to do, So-young? I want you to decide what you're worth. If you love him, if you think there's something real here worth fighting for, then make him work for it. Make him prove he's willing to be vulnerable and honest. But if you're done, if he's hurt you too much, then walk away. Either choice is valid." After So-young left, Elena sat alone in the garden for a long time. She thought about the past 18 months. The late nights when Junwoo would loosen his tie and they'd order takeout and work side by side until dawn. The way he always made sure she got home safely. How he'd once canceled a meeting with investors because she'd mentioned it was her sister's birthday and she wanted to video call her family. The coffee he made exactly how she liked it, even though he claimed not to notice these things. And she thought about the past 2 weeks. The coldness. The unreasonable demands. The deliberate cruelty of parading So-young around to make her jealous. Both versions were true. Both were Junwoo. The question was whether the good outweighed the bad, and whether he was capable of changing. Elena pulled out her phone and turned it back on. 17 missed calls from Junwoo. 23 text messages. The most recent one, sent 10 minutes ago, simply said please. She typed back, "We need to talk. Monday morning. Your office. 8 a.m. His response came within seconds, "I'll be there. Thank you." Elena spent Sunday writing and rewriting what she wanted to say. By the time she went to bed, she had a clear plan. She would tell Junwoo exactly how she felt. She would explain what she needed from him. And if he couldn't give her that, she would resign and move on with her life. It terrified her and empowered her in equal measure. Monday morning arrived gray and cold. Elena dressed carefully in a black suit that made her feel professional and in control. She arrived at the office at 7:30 to find Junwoo already there, pacing his office like a caged animal. When he saw her, he practically ran to open his door. "Elena. Thank God. I was worried you wouldn't come." "I said I would." She walked into his office, and he closed the door behind them. The privacy felt both intimate and suffocating. "We need to talk." "I know. I need to apologize. I need to explain." Junwoo ran his hands through his hair, destroying its perfect arrangement. He looked exhausted, like he hadn't slept in days. "Elena, I'm so sorry. For everything. For being cold about the flowers. For the unreasonable demands. For bringing So Young here to make you jealous. It was all so incredibly stupid and immature, and I have no excuse except that I was out of my mind." "Why?" Elena kept her voice steady. "Why were you out of your mind?" "Because I saw you smile at those flowers, and I realized someone else was making you happy. Someone else was important enough to send you expensive gifts and make you light up like that. And I couldn't stand it." Junwoo stepped closer, his dark eyes intense. "For 6 months, I've been falling in love with you. Every day, a little more. The way you hum when you work. Your laugh. Your intelligence. The way you care about people. Everything about you. And I was too proud, too scared to do anything about it." Elena's breath caught, but she held her ground. "So you decided to punish me instead?" "No. Yes. I don't know." He looked miserable. "I wanted you to feel what I felt. That jealousy. That fear of losing someone important. It was petty and cruel, and I hate myself for it." "You should." Elena's voice was firm. "Do you know what the past 2 weeks have been like for me? Wondering what I did wrong. Questioning my job performance. Watching you with So Young and thinking I was being replaced. Realizing I had feelings for you and believing they were completely one-sided. They were never one-sided." Junwoo reached for her hand, then stopped, his fingers hovering in the air between them. "Elena, you've been the only thing I think about for months. You're the reason I come to the office early. You're why I stay late. Every decision I make, I'm wondering what you'll think. Every success feels empty if I can't share it with you. Then why did it take you so long to tell me? Why did it take games and manipulation and me almost walking away? Because I'm a coward." The admission seemed to cost him. "Because my father destroyed our family with his affairs. Because I watched my mother cry herself to sleep for years. Because I've spent my entire adult life avoiding emotional vulnerability, and then you walked into my office 18 months ago and demolished every defense I'd built." Elena studied his face, seeing the truth written in every line of tension, every shadow under his eyes. "I need you to understand something, Junwoo. I can't be with someone who plays games with my heart. I won't be tested or manipulated or made to feel jealous just to prove I care. I know. I swear I will never do anything like that again." "How do I know that? How do I trust you after this?" Junwoo dropped to his knees. Literally dropped to his knees in front of her, this powerful man who commanded boardrooms and built empires. "I will spend every day proving it to you. I will be honest even when it terrifies me. I will tell you how I feel instead of expecting you to guess. I will treat you with the respect and care you deserve. Elena, please. Give me a chance to do this right." Elena looked down at him, this proud man on his knees, and felt something crack open in her chest. "Get up. Not until you tell me there's a chance. Not until you tell me I haven't completely destroyed this. Junwoo, please get up." He stood slowly, and Elena could see he was shaking. She'd never seen him like this. Vulnerable. Scared. Completely stripped of his usual control. "I have conditions," she said finally. "Anything. First, no more games. No more tests. If you're upset or jealous or confused, you talk to me. You don't punish me or make me guess. Done. Second, we need to be honest about the power dynamic. You're my boss. That complicates things. If this is going to work, we need clear boundaries at the office. We'll figure it out. Whatever you need. Third, and this is the most important one." Elena stepped closer, close enough to see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. "You need to actually tell me how you feel. Not just when you're desperate and scared of losing me. Every day. The good and the bad. No more walls. I can do that." Junwoo's hand finally found hers, his fingers wrapping around hers like a lifeline. "I love you, Elena. Chidinma. I love every part of you. Your strength. Your intelligence. Your compassion. The way you make me want to be better. I'm in love with you, and I have been for months, and I should have told you the moment I realized it. Elena felt tears prick her eyes. I love you too. Even though you're emotionally stunted and terrible at communication, and you made me cry multiple times over the past 2 weeks. I'll spend the rest of my life making up for that if you let me. The rest of your life is a long time. Not long enough. Junwoo pulled her closer, his free hand coming up to cup her face. Can I kiss you? I've been wanting to kiss you for 6 months. Yes, Elena whispered. Please, yes. The kiss was everything Elena had imagined and nothing like she'd expected. Gentle but desperate. Tender but passionate. Junwoo kissed her like she was precious, like he'd been dying of thirst, and she was water. His hand slid into her hair, careful not to disturb the style she'd worked so hard on, and Elena felt herself melting into him. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Junwoo rested his forehead against hers. I'm going to mess this up sometimes. I'm going to default to my old patterns. I need you to call me on it when I do. I will. Trust me, I will. Good. He smiled, and it transformed his entire face. This is going to be complicated. The office will talk. HR will have concerns. My family is going to be insufferable about this. Your family? My mother has been asking for grandchildren for years. When she finds out I'm dating someone, she's going to lose her mind. Fair warning, she's going to love you, which means she's going to start planning our wedding before our second date. Elena laughed despite herself. Slow down. We haven't even had a first date yet. Then let me take you to dinner. Tonight. Tomorrow. Every night for the rest of our lives. Junwoo kissed her again, softer this time. I meant what I said. I love you, Elena. And I'm done being afraid of that. So if you've made it this far, you're officially part of our story family. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Our stories travel the world, and we love seeing how far they go. Did Junwoo's apology make up for his jealousy games, or is Elena too forgiving? And honestly, would you have given him a second chance? Like this video if you're happy they finally figured it out, and subscribe because we're just getting started with stories that will make you feel all the emotions.